This is Miriam, and you're listening to KXVS, the voice of Stockton.
You know what I got? I got a picture of his face with the little pillow on, the sleep face, and we're in Chicago.
Are they already in Chicago?
The one and only Leo Biaz. Hey, Leo.
I'm excited to be back, my man. It was 9 days in Vegas. We got stuck in the desert, and we had a little hangover remix out there, man.
I wore a wig to school once, and they said no headgear was allowed.
How did
spider web
was it
tights.
Obvious that it was a wig?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was
It was
having
a terrible
fun.
wig.
See, this is exactly why we have them on the show, and this is what makes them fun.
You're listening to KXVS, the voice of Stockton, 92.1 FM.
Noticias y algo más, El Profe Cortés, Mondays and Wednesdays, 4 to 6 p.m. for exclusive Spanish news. Sin filtre.
Do you want to relive the golden days of Stockton? Join Nate Knott on Stockton Alive every first and third Monday at 6 p.m. Tune into thevoiceofstockton.org.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Julie Dameron, local veterinarian for over 20 years. I am so excited about my new radio show, Tales and Tips, on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Voice of Stockton, and KXVS Radio. I will discuss relevant issues affecting animals and pet owners today, how to avoid common problems, and how to extend the quality of life for your cherished companions. As a community advocate, I will also discuss important social issues that affect our city. I plan to showcase organizations and heroes who are doing amazing things to help others. Remember to tune in every Tuesday morning at 10, starting soon.
My name is Josh, and you're listening to KXVS, the voice of Stockton, 92.1 FM.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS, the voice of Stockton, or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff. The voice of San Joaquin and the voice of Stockton presents Tell It Like It Is with your hosts Jerome Clay and Sanchez.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good day. Hey, I'm your host Jerome Clay alongside
Sanchez, and it's a pleasure. Tune in again. Yet another week.
Okay, this is Tell It Like It Is, a show where conservative Republican, that's me, debating progressive Democrat.
We were going to ask you to guess which one was which, but he already done gave it away.
You know who Flipmeister is.
Coming from Mr. Fact Finder himself.
Oh my God. So where the debates, we're going to talk about political issues, current events and culture, where the debates might be heated, the exchanges might be fiery, but at the end, we're going to respect each other's views and opinions, right? So before we get into our topic today.
And we're going to do it over drinks, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can't forget that part.
Okay.
Shout out to our sponsor, Casa Mexico.
So what we drinking on tonight then?
If you want to get more information on that, you can go to cmtequila.com, and that's a new brand that's up and coming, owned by Oscar De La Hoya and Mario Lopez, and it's carried at a few fine locations here in town, including Midgley's in Lincoln Center, as well as what's the liquor store?
Oh, Shop and Go Liquor. On March Lane.
Liquor.
But before getting into the show, you got to
salute. So today we're drinking.
So look at this. So let me ask you something. I don't know what kind of drink we got, but I think it's a Hispanic drink because you got your do-rag on. I can't believe this. He's going to come to the studio with his brown do-rag on and his cholo chains and his, look at this, and his Hiawatha shirt.
Hiawatha.
What's going on? What's going on with the Flipmeister today? Governor Don, can you say something?
Those are very nice compliments, man. I was going to say
take
the
those
same
all
thing.
as compliments.
So what kind of Mexican?
Even as inaccurate as they are, but that's to be expected.
I can't believe it. So please tell me, what kind
from
of
the fact finder himself.
Oh.
So today we're drinking on, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are drinking on the Paloma, right? So if you're Mexican, not Hispanic, because Hispanic is from the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. So
where's Hispanic from then?
Spain.
Okay, from the other side.
That's what Hispanic
and
means.
Mexico's from this side.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
a little bit different.
The side that Trump want to build his wall on.
Exactly.
Okay, there we
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we clarified
the
everything.
one that he still didn't get no funding from.
Oh, we're going to talk
But
about
we
that
gonna
in a
get into
second.
that.
Well, we're going
In
to
a
get into that.
second.
Okay.
So we're
Oh, baby. Hey, what's your little play buzzer or whatever you got?
There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
That's official. So this is the Paloma.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's mixed with tequila, and we won't say the name brand because they're not sponsoring us today.
That's what I'm talking about.
But it is a grapefruit
Quench
beverage.
your thirst?
That has bubbles in it.
It quench your thirst.
It is.
Like that brown do-rag. It's quenching my thirst, right? I'm
It's not
getting
really.
thirsty
It's not really
looking
a
at that
do-rag,
brown-
but
the
it does
do-rag.
keep the sweat away from the eyeballs.
I am sweating looking at that hot brown fire right now.
So this is called a Paloma.
Yes.
It's mixed ice. It's very simple but very effective.
Okay.
And it's basically, if you go to Jalisco, it's like the Mexican tea.
Okay.
They drink it all
So we're
day.
drinking tea right now.
We're drinking the Mexican
Well,
tea.
well then, pinkies
It's called
up.
AKA the Paloma.
Pinkies up.
Pinkies up.
Salute. Yeah, so we drinking tea. So tonight we're going to talk about the government shutdown. We got some guests for you. They're going to talk about, they attended Mrs. Harrison's
special guests in here.
presidential kickoff today in Oakland. And we also got some other individuals you bring to talk about some other current issues that's going on in
we got
Stockton.
a good lineup today.
Right. So let's get into this shutdown. So, I love how you liberals.
The shutdown or the
Look,
reopen?
look at this. This is the best. I love how you liberals, especially Nancy Pelosi, she came out and was like, "We won, we won." But then I know Governor Don. I know him, right? I know he looked at the fine print and said 21 days open. And Trump already said, if I don't get my wall in 21 days, I'm shutting the government back down.
I'm so surprised that the Democrats did not cave. I mean,
cave.
What? Hey, hey, look.
It's 21 days.
Look, what?
I'm not
But
surprised
still,
that
like,
Trump
what are
caved.
Democrats good at?
Caving.
Okay.
No,
Right?
but I'm just saying. I know when you see Nancy Pelosi and
Right.
she walked in that funky outfit she had on. You see when she was in the
She
middle.
was
of
sharp,
everybody?
man.
That's- Okay,
She was
funky.
sharp.
Funky. I mean, she thought she was in the 60s. So listen,
or the
okay.
Hunger Games.
I was more worried about people not getting paid and paying their rent than what Nancy Pelosi was wearing.
At
or
the
not
end of the
wearing.
day, it
All
is
right.
21 days. Do not get fooled by this government shutdown. Like things
It's
have
temporary.
changed. It's a temporary fix.
Temporary victory.
It's what victory?
What's going to
21
change in
days.
21 days?
What's going to change?
What changed? Wait, what changed during them
Nothing's-
34 days?
Exactly.
What changed in the 34
all we
days?
did was kick the can down the road. You're
Yes.
still not going to get funding for a wall. And then we're going to be right back to where we're
You know,
at.
Are we even talking about why they're able to shut down the government? What does funding mean? Do you know what it really means? Why they're able to shut down the government? It's a rule that they made that they can't borrow more than a certain dollar amount. So the
Tell
reason why they're able to shut down the government
Tell it.
is because they're like, our
afford
credit card is maxed out.
It's
we
declined.
can't afford it.
No, maxed out.
Okay, well, so they
So,
use it
so
with
what they
decline?
do? This is what happens. This is
Okay.
what they do. They
They haven't
say
increased their
this is how they do.
credit
it. That's what they do. They say when the credit card's maxed out, all right, we're just gonna raise the limit.
Okay.
And that's how it works.
Okay.
And that's how it's been working for the past
Right,
30
right.
years that got us up to these trillions.
Right. Well, we in some trillions.
Well, you know.
But I'm just saying, it was just so wonderful
Art
to
of the
see.
deal.
It just see all these Democrats came out, and I mean, even your girl AOS or AOC, whatever you want to call her.
AOC.
Hey, AOC, right?
AOC.
She came
My
out,
girl.
and she
Shout
was
out
just,
to her.
and she was just so happy. Oh, here we go.
Alexandria, when you
Where
want
the
to keep
crowd
back,
at? Where the
have some
crowd at?
Palomas, we'll sit down and talk.
These
Don't be
girls.
dissuaded by my friend
Hey,
here.
listen. We can talk because I got something for you. But all I'm saying is everybody was just like, we won. We beat Trump. Oh my God, it's a great day.
Trump cave.
It's a great day. But at the end of the day, brother, it's a 21 day.
It's
21
a
day hold.
can being kicked down the road for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you. Actually, I have to be. I'm with Jerome on this one.
Thank you.
Look.
Yeah, hold on.
Let's facts
Hold
be
on.
facts.
Check it out. Say it again to the
Hold-
almighty
Ain't nobody-
do-rag
ain't-
wearer.
hold up.
But
Say it again to the almighty do-rag
You know there's a
wearer.
difference between a
Brown,
do-rag.
hold on,
Hold on.
do-rag and the, look at this,
Come
look at
on,
this.
man.
Pop your collar one
Last
time.
time I
Hold on.
picked
Can you
you-
pop your collar one
last
time? Oh, there you
time-
go.
Last time I picked you up, you had a do-rag. See, the difference is
Oh.
I'm going to come through my rag in
Oh
public.
my God!
But my
I can't
man gotta
believe.
go
I
to
cannot
the phone
believe
booth
this.
He was hiding
and
out.
take the do-rag off.
He put.
You know what it is?
He
had
got
a-
Let me tell you
He
what's
got
going on.
two faces, one in public
Oh,
and one
okay.
in private.
Let me tell you,
I'm
Governor
the
Don,
same.
Yes,
please
sir.
cut the fan his way because he's burning up
I
over
do
here. He
need
hot.
Hey, let me
It
get.
is
I-
kinda-
Hey, you gotta burn. No, I'm just saying he gotta burn. Yeah, here we go. Because he's burning up hot over here. And he talking nonsense right
We
know
got it on high.
Hey,
I'm
you know
cool,
he's talking right now?
No.
Cool.
So look. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. The Democrats won, right? Nancy Pelosi.
I would say nobody won.
She won, right? Exactly.
Because nothing was won.
So nothing was really won. Here's what really did happen, and I am proud of the Democrats for like not caving in. But to be honest with you, that is the lowest bar I got for them.
I gotta concur with that.
Like it's like all right.
I can't even argue with
anybody who would have lost this fight, is garbage.
But the fight is not. The fight is not over yet.
No. This fight.
Right.
Holding government workers hostage, that the government could, the president could
for a wall that's never going to be funded.
Because what that's called, that's blackmail for funding for a project. Look, if there's a way to,
I'm gonna go on record right now. That wall will never be built.
There's a way to do it, and you're wrong. Because the wall has almost all already been built. There's only like 60 more miles of wall to be built.
I'm talking about the 60 more miles, and for the cost
there's already money for that. There's already money for them that 60 miles. They'll get to it when they get to it. And the wall is likewise impractical in most of the rest of the border.
And so every time we go to this wall, I'm going to let you guys know. Because you guys, we're going to get this.
Exactly.
It don't make sense.
They haven't built the wall, and they're not going to build the rest of the wall.
There's a river right here.
Hold on.
We need a wall for.
We're going to get this to Flip Meister's heads and Governor Don's head.
Okay.
If you want the wall, I said before and I'm going to say it again.
No.
El Chapo is going to pay for this wall. And I keep saying it, but look at this. His trial's almost ending.
Mr. Alternative Facts himself.
Please watch El Chapo's trial. The wife came on. She's distressed. The friend told on him. El Chapo's doing bad. He got $14+ billion that
wife don't want a wall.
Oh yeah, wife don't care. Wife
don't want a wall. She's like she's depressed because her bankroll has been cut.
All I'm saying is, if you want this wall, right? Stop giving it to the people.
We don't. No, look.
Just let
the wall would have been funded if the wall was supposed to happen. The Republicans would have funded it when they had the power to do it. That's it. Mic drop.
Okay, so fine. Okay.
El Chapo will fund that wall before it gets built, which means it ain't gonna never happen. Like I said.
All right.
It's just not going to happen.
Okay, I got better
ideas. But 21 days.
Here we go.
21 days of government reopen. What does that mean? That means just enough days
to
get people, cut people their checks.
Nothing's going to change in those 3 weeks.
And this is the best thing about this 21 days that's going on, right? I was out and
are we going to have a State of the Union in that?
Oh, we're going to have a State of the Union. But I was out and about, and someone said he was depressed. I'm like, what are you mad about? He said, well, I can't pay my my food stamps. I can't get no food. And I'm thinking, okay. He was like, well, what I should do? I'm like, well, go get a job. I mean, what else you gonna do if you want to eat? People really have depended on food stamps and government assistance, and now that the government is shut down, they really don't know what to do. And it's sad. If you just talk to people, it is so sad that they have been dependent on the government so long.
Some people like that. Some people are like that, and we got to be honest with
Right.
you. But most people on government assistance need government assistance. That's why they're on it. Most people are on it for 3 years or less.
Okay.
So let's facts out here, facts.
Oh, I'm not debating that. I'm just saying.
So most people make use of it for what it's for, which is basically instead of hitting the concrete, you hit like a kind of a mattress or maybe even with a little bounce to it, and it'll help you get back on your feet.
Because they need a job, right?
Most people do that.
Right. So look, check it out. If
most
we had
people,
that wall,
3 years.
If we had that wall, they have plenty of jobs. They can have contractor jobs. You have architect jobs. And the best thing about the wall.
Man, the only job they're gonna have is the clowns getting out of the car.
Oh man,
how many clowns can get out of a car?
Here you go. Even better. Forget El Chapo. I got one better for you.
Let's touch on government assistance.
Okay, let's talk on it.
Just as a side note.
Okay.
Who receives more government assistance than our current president, right? How much are we paying for his vacations, his golf trips, his Mar-a-Lago excursions?
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, if anybody should be looking a job, it's Trump himself. He should be doing his job instead of us looking at the lowest of right?
Right.
Come on, man.
So,
at the end of the day, who else benefits from food stamps, as they used to be called? Now it's what, the EBT?
EBT card.
Man, I remember having to.
You benefited from it, didn't you?
I remember having to go to the.
I know, 50 cents on a dollar. 50 cents on a dollar.
I survived.
50 cents on a dollar, didn't you?
No. No, you used to could pay rent with food stamps, but that's gone. But no, what we're talking about. Look, let me tell you who survives off food stamps. Mom and pops
don't last a whole month.
But mom and pop stores.
It's not even the mom and pops, but it's the chains, it's the Safeways, it's the S-Mart.
Yes, they make a lot of money.
That's who benefits from food stamps.
And WIC.
Look, that's a choice, but the money goes right into the economy. That's the point. Yeah, it's a choice, and it should be. We should localize these dollars, right? But the fact is, 100% of the dollars that go to help poor people go right into the economy. It's almost as if you didn't really pay the person who's in poverty. You just push it into these businesses.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know,
and that's why, you know, at the end of the day, conservatives can bash the poor all they want. But in reality,
first off, hold on.
It is their businesses that are thriving off of them all the way up to the top, to the president.
How do conservatives bash the poor? We ain't bashing the poor.
Conservatives bashing poor is like saying, you know,
I'll answer the question. So earlier when you talked about the person and you said get a job, right?
Right.
So it was insensitive to the fact that most people who are on assistance.
The implication is that he doesn't want to work.
Wait. So it might have been applicable to this situation, right?
Right.
But that's a unique situation.
Thank you for checking those facts.
No. What I'm saying, so that when people talk about conservatives being insensitive to the poor or what they call, hating on the poor, they talk about things like that. That like with the Secretary of Commerce came out, Wilbur Ross came out, just almost pure garbage. I could see what a garbage person is like. He's like, I don't see why these federal workers can't just go take out a loan.
Yeah, he said that.
He said I don't see any reason why they would be. But what I'm saying is,
because they're working.
But it's not
working.
It's not atypical of the Republicans, Jerome. It's typical. It is typical of the Republicans. If somebody says, let's say it differently.
Okay,
Jerome.
Yes.
I just heard some politician said, I don't see what's wrong with the poor. They should just get a job and get a loan. Was it a Republican or a Democrat? You guess.
Okay. I'm gonna answer that question.
All right, let's move on.
No. He got a good point.
Republican. But
no, you ain't bored because I got something better. I got something better for you. Right, this is good for you because you wouldn't bash my conservatives right now.
We got some important guests.
We do. Hold on. But let me get this last point out because you just bashed the conservative. Now, if I was a liberal, you know what I'd say? I would say just like the great Como did in New York. You can abort the baby at 30 minutes before it's born. And then you don't have to worry about poverty because you can abort the baby and you have to worry about poverty. You have to worry about food stamps.
Oh, so we just going Bible now, right?
No. So since you guys care
Bible
about how
rules.
the
It's a
conservative...
little bit different subject,
but let's segue into...
But I digress.
All right.
Let's move on.
So let's segue in and bring in some guests
we
that
got
talk
some
about...
ladies that were...
At the Kamala
Harris.
Kamala Harris.
I'm pretty sure it's Kamala.
United States Senator, great state of California.
Right, that she's getting ready
Kamala
to
Harris.
Attorney General for California. And,
yes, former Attorney General.
Former underling of
District
Willie
Attorney
Brown.
of San Francisco as well, the county.
That's right. So we're going to bring in Antwanisha and her sister, Kianna Williamson.
All right, hold
Yeah,
I'll bring him in.
They were at the rally today with Kamala Harris's announcement, and so...
Was Willie there?
Huh?
Was Willie Brown there?
I'm sure he was.
Okay.
We'll ask him.
We'll see if Willie was there.
Let's see.
Jerome, why don't you come out?
Hello.
They going to sit on the outside?
Okay, you're going to sit on the inside. Let me sit on the inside.
We'll give them the inside.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, just for the viewers, you got to see these funky shirts they're wearing.
Oh.
Please show the funky shit. Look at these shirts.
That's the difference between the conservative.
And look at the back. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
That's not funky to me.
But straight bedazzle. What's
I don't
going
know.
on here? Bedazzle.
Hey,
Kevin and Don, can you say
that's
something
amazing.
about the bedazzle?
Well, I
I'll
have
give
to
a
say,
shout out for that.
I gotta give
we
that
got
one.
that heart. We got
And
the heart
they
logo
made them
too.
themselves.
And then I like the hat. Can you explain the hat?
It's MLK 365. You know, everyone wants to celebrate it when they get a day off, but
You do
all year
65
long is
all
about,
year
yeah.
long.
Yep, all
So
year long.
It's not just about volunteer on one day of the year.
No, leadership is every day.
Exactly.
Everyday thing.
Okay. So you guys were at the kickoff, right?
Yes.
How was it?
It was amazing.
It was so awesome.
And it was where?
It was in Oakland, California.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's where she was born, raised. That's where she went to school at Howard University.
Yes, she did. She did.
She went to Black College, HBCU.
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she is a part of the first and finest sorority, all black sorority.
Which is what?
Alpha Kappa Alpha
Okay.
sorority.
Are you guys members? Are you guys a sorority? I'm just.
She is.
The viewers might not know.
Yeah.
Supporters.
Yeah.
They're supporters.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Under the cover, huh? They got
There
you.
we go.
We gotta ask this question, right?
Support the sisters.
Was the great Willie Brown there?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, was he in the building? I mean, was he just giving props up? We just
Even
wanna
when
know.
he's not there, he's there.
His presence is there.
He's there. His leadership is there.
See that?
Okay.
You asked the question earlier and that's the answer. His leadership is there.
I didn't even ask a question, but thank you for asking.
Oh my God.
And we go with the alternative facts.
Here we go. So what was she talking about? Like what, her campaign? How did she kick it off? I mean, what was?
It was very important for her to kick it off in her hometown.
Okay.
It was a very diverse group. It was people of all colors,
Okay.
all ages. There was young children there too. So basically, she wanted to start it in her hometown. Her parents met at Berkeley. She grew up. She was born at Kaiser, right down the street from where she kicked it off at City Hall. So it was very important to her to bring it back home and start it at home and branch out from there.
What was her theme?
Her theme, for the people. So basically, what she was talking about the whole time is that, you know, as her position as a district attorney, she always represented for the people. It wasn't Kamala Harris versus whoever was on the people. Yeah, it was the people. So I love her slogan, Kamala Harris for the people. It's clever. She's been working years of her life representing the people, and now we want her to do it on a bigger platform. So,
so how do you feel about? There's a lot of debate right now going on amongst like liberals, right? In liberal circles, progressives, and other. It kind of like along the lines with Bernie versus Hillary, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people feel that Kamala is basically a reinvented Hillary or an ethnic Hillary. And a lot of them cite her record as Attorney General. For instance, she once argued against criminal justice reform that disproportionately affects black males and Mexican, Latino males. Yeah. And so she once argued in court that against early releases or lighter sentences, reform as it's referred to. And the argument that she used to justify that was that it would it would hurt the prison labor pool. And so many people feel that her record, or when it came to prosecutions, basically as Attorney General, is not very progressive or very in tune with black and brown communities. You as black women, how do you feel about that?
Honestly, when you talk about criminal reform, I can't touch on that, to be honest with you. But what I can touch on is that I am a black woman, and we were talking about pay scale equality. So women in general, get paid 80 cents on the dollar compared to male counterparts. Black women get paid 63 cents on the dollar. So the inequality is there. So as far as that, I believe that she's the right person to push us towards equality in the pay scale. I think there should be transparency in the workplace. I don't think we should have to sign a contract saying that we're not talking about how much we get paid. If me and you are working in the same job and you're working your butt off, I expect you to get paid more. And if you're not, I want to make sure that it's equal.
So you see, even with that, right? So let's touch on that. Let's say, you know, I'm working the same job as you, right? But I have a double master's. You have an AA. Right? But you're working harder than me. Should we get paid the same?
No, your credentials are different.
Okay, so so now even with that 63%, is that across the board?
It's across the board.
So that means
that's pretty much like equal work.
Okay,
but
and
you're a
not
man and you're getting paid more.
And Jerome, you know this already. I was working, you know, in a position making over 6 figures in the Bay Area, and I resigned last year. Why? Do you remember?
Yeah, I would tell the viewer.
It was pay scale inequality, and you know, here I am, double mastered, you know, credentials extremely high, and the moment I found out that somebody working under me was getting paid more than me. I, you know, of course, I felt like, okay, now we have to have a conversation. And when we had that conversation and they told me pretty much it's not going to happen, not at this time, you know, that's when I had to make the decision to take a stand for myself.
And file a lawsuit. JD?
Right. Well, you know, and I resigned. And then, you know, but now that we have somebody, a presidential candidate in place who is highlighting these inequalities that we experience every day here.
So it's personal for you. You can
it's
relate.
Very personal. I can relate.
So now let me ask you this: as Attorney General, you know, did she do enough to you know, with this inequality, right? Because she was the Attorney General, she was the chief law of the land, right? She could prosecute companies. Did she do any of that? I mean, remember, this is the platform she ran on. This is what you love about her. So as Attorney General, did she go out enough, and did she really fight for inequality of pay?
And she went out enough to be able to be our senator now since 2017. So it's enough to be in a higher platform. So is it enough to be president 2020? We hope so. I want to be able to look at the 46th president and say, hey, that person looks like me. Maybe I could achieve that someday. Right now, we don't see that.
Now, you know, and of course, people, you know, some politicians haven't changed much in a long, long time. And, you know, we think of people like, you know, like well, Mitch McConnell, you know, he's solid and steady in his way. He's been like that for a long time. But there's other politicians who I think develop, and like you know, Senator Harris is, you know, she used to, you know, take corporate PAC money just like everybody else.
Right.
You know, 2 years ago though, she decided that it wasn't okay. So it wasn't like she just thought about it now. So that's part of a transition. So I know that some of her decisions I'm not very good with at all. Right. I think it's awful how for anybody to have fought to keep marijuana illegal in the state that we know the disparity of prosecution of marijuana crimes. Right. White people and black people use marijuana at the same rate.
Towards black and brown communities.
4 and 8 times, 4 times more convictions, 8 times more arrests. I mean the other way around, which is even worse. So. Point is that those things, yeah. But now, what position does she hold on marijuana? See what I'm saying? Is
she's
like,
forward,
right? So
yeah, but you're saying, but see, I gotta.
I'm just saying that there is some development. We have seen some progress in her
That's
platform.
what I'm asking, right? Is
Is
it progress on the issues? Is it really development, or is it saying, look, it's political calculus,
pragmatic?
After the work has already been done, and even though her opposition to it was there when she was in that position of leadership, the work was done in spite of her. Now it's about saying, well, the law has changed anyways, so why continue to resist it? But to me, that's not the same as being progressive to say, you know what, she recognized it once she was in that position of power to say, this law is unjust historically, societally, it is disproportionately affecting communities of black and brown people, especially men. That's having an impact on women and children as well as a result of it. And so to me, that's the standard that I hold as far as like, is somebody progressive?
Like, is she paving the path, or is she just walking?
Or is she following along after the work is done, after the fact, right? So that's what I'm a little bit disheartened by with her record, right? I mean, obviously, it's good to see somebody come back to their hometown. It's inspirational, and especially Oakland. You know, shout out to Oakland. Right. They need love because they have their issues as well. So I definitely celebrate that. But at the end of the day, I ask: is this somebody who is just saying what needs to be said to get where they want to be, or is it somebody that's really going to do the work to benefit the people?
I don't think so. I mean, she comes off to be so genuine. Every time I have seen her speak, every time, and she actually did a town hall at our church. We go to Unity of Sacramento. Shout out to Unity of Sacramento. And she did a town hall there. About 6 months ago, I want to say. And I mean, even addressing the issues that we have on a local level, the state of California, she was able to address it honestly, and I appreciate that. I mean, it's not that you told me no, but tell me why you're telling me no, and how can we make that no into a yes? That makes it better for all. And then just going back to criminal justice reform, I don't want to touch into that, but I do know she did some work on the recidivism rates. And also, who not better to represent the criminal justice system and point out their what word am I looking for? Inequities. Than a prosecutor. Then our old attorney general. So she actually helped put some people there, right? So I know that's an issue. But I mean, now that she's seen, okay, the system isn't designed for all of us, and we need to fix that. And
she touched on that today.
She did touch on that.
Well, first, I want to give a correction.
Real quick, that's what I wonder. Is she just doing that because that's what she's in Oakland? She knows that's what people want to hear,
think so.
Or because that's what she really believes?
I want to respond to that, but first I'll make a correction. It was April of last year. It wasn't 2016. It was April of 2018, but still it was still during the last election season. But when she made the pledge to swear off corporate PAC money, but I would say when she was running,
Don fact checking himself.
Hey,
and she said that today.
Let's get the buzzer for that. Let's get the buzzer for that.
She said that today. She said, "I'm not here." She said, "I'm here to talk about science facts, not science fiction."
Right.
You know, and there was something else
that's a knock to Donald Trump, of course.
But she said all of that without saying his name today.
Mr. Fact Finder, alternative.
I was
displayed that on several occasions in this show.
To answer your question though, when she came here, when she was running for U.S. Senator, so we talking about 2016.
Right.
So in 2016, when then Attorney General Kamala Harris came to town, she was already on criminal justice reform at her. That was the first words out the gate. So as when she became the U.S. Senator, that was definitely a focus in her campaign.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. As
marijuana legalization,
as a progressive,
all of that
right?
happened when
That's
she became
what
senator.
I'm saying is that you can say it, but don't show me your words, show me your actions, right? And her actions, her record has been contrary to what she says verbally, and that is my concern with Miss Harris, right? Mrs. Harris, I should say. So, but I'm glad that you ladies had the opportunity to go out there, and at the very least, it's a historic event to participate in.
That's a big deal.
We're glad you can go there and come share your experiences and represent for the local
Is she doing another tour? Or
I don't know. Today was her official presidential campaign launch, or the launch of her official presidential campaign. But I do want to wrap it up with our segment part.
Okay, go ahead.
But it says today she actually focused on the need for unity at a time when the nation is deeply polarized, arguing that while Americans have differences in ideology, race, and ethnicity, they should unite to tackle their common challenges. And I felt like she was absolutely right, and she was looking to unify the crowd. And like my sister said, she was it was a diverse crowd, and we were all in unison. So I think that she's going to give all of the other presidential candidates a run for their money.
Oh, she definitely is going to do that.
Yeah. I am Team Kamala 2020.
Okay.
She is very.
Well, let me ask you this: can people, if they wanted to volunteer for a campaign, how can they get in touch? With the organizer of the campaign, or is there something that we can?
That's a good question.
Definitely, there's a website. As soon as you sign up for any event, you'll continue to get invites until you unsubscribe.
So like someone that wanted to join her campaign, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how's she gonna do? She gonna have a campaign. She gonna have an office in Stockton, Oakland. I mean,
so her campaign is Kamala Harris for the people again. So that's where we've been receiving emails and updates on upcoming things from. We actually just got an email from her husband saying how proud he is of her at just at 7:01. So
I seen some pictures on the internet.
Yeah.
Her husband is white, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a real picture. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
It's a real picture.
Yes.
Because I know, that was some
unbelievable.
controversy too.
Can you believe it?
I believe anything. Anything possible.
That's what you were saying earlier. Can you believe it?
Yes. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
Well, the fun fact is when I worked at the state capitol, I actually rode in the elevator with Kamala and a couple of her bodyguards. So that was an interesting experience.
I bet you the bodyguards were ready.
I have another fun fact. I actually interviewed. I got an interview when she was Attorney General, and they told me, "Oh my gosh, you're so perfect, but you are so modest." And I said, "Really?" So that actually encouraged me and inspired me to speak more, because I mean, I have so much experience, but I'm that person that's behind the scenes. So that really, really encouraged me to step up and start speaking out a lot more.
So speaking of that, we're supposed to transition.
Yeah, it's a perfect segue.
Right? We're supposed to transition because
the march.
Y'all were participants
of the march.
at the Women's March.
Yes.
And let me preface that with saying, before this was the first year it was in Stockton.
Yes.
But prior to that, you were at the one in Sacramento.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're new to the scene. So what were your thoughts on? Because I know there's some controversy stirring around here in Stockton, and you're not organizers, so we're not gonna hold your feet to the fire on that. But I know you were participants. What do you think? I mean, what are your observations as far as the ones you guys attended at the first year in Sacramento versus the ones here in Stockton?
The Women's March is very important to us. It's something that our younger generations are involved in. My nieces go. I'm talking from age 5 to age 9.
We see the pictures.
Yeah. So
you guys put the pictures out.
So we basically talk to them about what the Women's March is. That is not only for women. That is for inequality. It's for healthcare. It's for social justice. It's for all these things.
And at the end of the day, no man can. All men are connected to women, right?
Yeah.
All men are connected to women.
Yeah.
Whether it's our mothers, whether it's our daughters, our sisters,
Right.
our wives, our spouse, or significant others, whatever the fact may be. The movement for women equality and rights and equal treatment in our society is really everybody's issue.
And every year, my kids have been they've been holding up the poster. One of them says the future is female, and the meaning that I take behind that is without a woman, you wouldn't be here.
That's true.
You know,
literally.
and so literally, you know.
Hey,
but that could happen. Trust me,
the other side of that is man too.
I mean, we can get into that too, but on the male side, it's more pleasure. Of a woman's side, giving birth is equivalent to fracturing 52 bones at once.
What you came from a woman, got a game from a woman. We don't have a right to tell women.
Okay.
Come on,
he messing up the Tupac quote.
But with the women's march, there's a few things that stood out to me. It was the very first Stockton one. Usually we go to Sacramento.
Right.
We made a point to go to the Stockton one because it was the first. It was history, and we wanted to do something in our community. I think it was great.
Okay.
I didn't have any ties to any of the organizers putting it on. But two things stood out to me.
Okay.
The first thing that stood out to me was that they really pushed that it's collaboration over competition.
Yes.
There we go.
That was a positive message that they got across. I think it was great. The it fit in well to the message they were giving across. And there was another kind of, some people were kind of upset with the controversial speech that was given by 3 female leaders in the community.
So y'all were there.
Yes.
Well,
I was right. Yeah.
Let's get into that.
Yeah, and
ask one time, right?
Honestly, I have been back. Was born in Stockton, raised in Stockton. I've been back and forth from Sacramento to Stockton a lot. And basically, it was stated that there was 3 women that had been discriminated against in a workplace, and a person that was CEO of the company was present inside of the crowd. They gave enough information for me to get interested, but not so much to where I knew what was going on. I just wanted to know more.
And we actually talked about this last week on our show.
And I was expecting someone to come and speak on that today, so I was interested to talk to them before the show to say, hey, like, what was going on?
So we got to report back, because let me just tell the viewers, you know, we brought this up last week, and we've spent a week reaching out to the organizers. We were expecting one of the main organizers to be here today. She's not here for whatever reasons, right? We've reached out also to the 3 women who gave the speech. And who they're referring to is Sammy Nunez and Fathers of Families, San Joaquin, which we've both personally have had negative experiences with in the past. So we reached out to the women, and the impression that we get is that they pretty much, like, instead of being supported by the rest of the organizers or the women leadership, they were pretty much like the controversy arises in the fact that many like were criticizing them for that. And many were like making them to feel like, oh, you know, you put a stain on our march, or you like brought drama to the march. But the question is, at what better venue to speak out as women to say, hey, we were affected negatively. Here goes somebody who's actually in the crowd. That was the great part about it. They didn't cower down. He was in the crowd. And say, these are the issues. And instead of them feeling like the community came to their aid and say, at the very least, let's get down to the bottom of this, right? Not to pick a side or just rush to judgment.
Just understand.
But let's get down to the bottom of this. And from speaking with, you know, one of them, they declined to come on the show because they felt like, in other words, they were kind of like bullied into silence. And they're like to the point where they have been criticized and attacked to a certain extent, to like feel bad for doing what they did. When, you know, from my perspective, it's like that's the perfect time to do it.
Honestly, as a person that doesn't have any political ties to what was going on, I thought it was powerful. I thought it was a perfect place and platform for that. And I wanted to rally around to know more, not to say they're right or wrong, but at least to know. Because
let's get down to the bottom of it.
Yeah, if I felt like someone discriminated against me in the workplace, I don't want her to tell me I'm wrong or right, but listen, just listen. And I think it was a perfect platform for that.
This is where my sister and I don't want to say we disagree. I'm not going to say that. I fully support the women that stood up. It takes a lot of confidence, courage, you know, and I salute you, and I just got done doing 18 years, serving in the military.
Right.
I'm a veteran too.
Yeah.
So, and I salute you for that, because it does take a lot of courage to get up and speak in front of a crowd and speak your truth.
That's right.
But I will say that I understand the controversy, because in organizing this event, it took a lot for a lot of the organizers to come together and to pull this off. And they started working on this march, I want to say in October timeframe. So it was a very
they did a great
short.
job.
Yeah. And so they developed their core values right away, and that was to make sure that we promoted love, diversity, inclusion, and solidarity. And with that comes, everybody coming together. And if they got up and they wanted to speak their truth, then yes, we should have allowed it. But I understand that was not the right platform. So then we asked the question, what do we have the platform for?
What is that platform?
What is that platform?
And that's what I asked from an observer, right? And some people are asking, what was the purpose of the march, right? Were there any objectives that were to come out of it, or was it a show for certain individuals in the community to have a platform for themselves to be seen?
Yeah.
And so, we're gonna have guests come on who have their perspective, because they felt they were on that spectrum of they felt like they were not included.
Yeah.
And they are putting in work here in the community, work that's not glamorous, but it needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so, the question is at what point, what is the purpose? And I think, we get back to the question of like, well, what is the platform?
Right.
But I will say this.
Yeah.
That was just one segment of the event, right?
Yes.
So if you look at the whole event itself, right? So we can look at that one incident and say, you know what, they should have done this, they should have done that. But I look at the whole event itself.
Yeah.
And the whole event itself appears to be a success, right?
You've
seen a lot of women,
it was successful.
right? And we had something in Stockton, so yeah, we could talk about that one issue that happened, and maybe shouldn't have happened. But I'm looking at the whole event itself.
Yeah.
And how was the whole event itself to you guys? I mean, if you look at in general,
I believe,
the whole thing.
I believe it was a peaceful event.
Okay.
One big thing about Stockton is that there's not really anything social to do because we're afraid that something violent is going to happen.
Right.
We had 0 instances that I was aware of.
Right.
So no violence, no crime,
violence,
no police call,
right. They had,
no one went to jail.
No riot cops.
No riot cops.
Okay.
People weren't being pushed
No
around.
SWAT team.
Okay.
Everyone was taking pictures, smiling, hugging. Strangers were
pictures.
walking hand in hand.
Right.
And they had several water stations for people to stay
Right.
hydrated. There was there were children, there was elderly, and there was men, there was women, very diverse group. And to do something in Stockton without anything breaking out, like it's a success.
And that's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
because to do something in Stockton like this, right?
Yeah.
Normally you think of Stockton, they think, oh man, just the murder capital of the world.
That's what people
But
think,
to
yeah.
have a women's march, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about this
Yeah.
incident all day, right? But then it's like it brings negative to Stockton, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the women that
Yeah.
went, they loved the event, right?
Yeah.
Now you had this one incident that we have to address, but they loved the event. They were like, man, we came together. There were powerful speakers
Yeah.
there. Speakers after speaker, they gave these heartfelt speeches.
Yeah.
And it was bringing us together, with unity, right? And love and solidarity. So, that's what I want to see more of that. I hope he's there next year.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys doing something
And
at the
this
end
is
of the
the
year.
first,
Right.
for it to be the first Women's March of Stockton, I
that's
think
what I
they
was
did a
gonna say.
phenomenal
Right.
job. And I think since we're talking about it, we do need to announce who the organizers were, which was the Younger Women's Task Force.
Okay.
And also the OWL movement.
Okay.
And I just think
Big ups to both organizations.
They did
Hey,
a
good
great
job,
job.
Good job. I mean, I know a lot of the ladies who are involved in those organizations, and they're amazing.
There we go. I mean, so is there anything else going on, like for the women at the end of the year, or they can get involved in? Or you guys anything planned? I know you guys are shakers and movers.
yeah,
That's why you're laughing and grinning now, because y'all
yeah,
some shakers and movers.
well,
And the both of y'all together is even worse, because y'all really plan stuff.
Well, we want to have, like, sometimes through pain,
Okay.
like you find your voice
Okay.
to speak up. And with the issue with the girls speaking, what is their platform? We started having a conversation about creating a platform for
There we
people
go.
to speak up about
Okay.
specific instances somewhat and try to have these avenues and support groups and the next steps.
So you guys working on something like that?
Yeah,
So
so
that's y'all hearing it first, right?
Oh, we hearing it first? Okay.
You can make the announcement.
Make the announcement.
So that's why I said our viewers, y'all hearing it first,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Because look, let's keep it real. This is telling it like it is. This ain't protecting your feelings so that we can be friends.
Okay.
It was a lot of issues that were seen with the Women's March. I'll just leave it at that, right? Without getting into the full details. There was a lot of issues, a lot of things that were definitely we should put on platform, applaud, celebrate. But there were some things that were strategically done that kept certain voices to the side, right? So we came out and said, well, what is going to be the platform for these discussions to happen, to say who's doing what in the community and where do we need to go in the community to push forward as a community. So that's where you and I came out with the idea to say, well, we do need that platform because it's missing because Stockton is one of the most challenged cities in this nation.
It's challenging. And a lot of people confuse me with a community organizer, and I correct them right away. I'm more of a community activist.
You behind the scenes.
I'm behind the scenes, and I try to push for equality and equal rights to all. And so we need to create that platform.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what's coming up next. Is that we're going to start working on.
It's going to be crazy.
See, I'm big on the after. So like we can have this event, but I want there to be some sort of support.
There has to be follow through.
There has to be follow through. If someone gets up and speaks about an issue that they're having, I want them to have a group and a booth after so they can get more. They can give more information and support for the community.
Kimberly Wormsley.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have some that was it.
Follow up?
No.
So let me finish the announcement, right? So the announcement is going to be what? That we're gonna start working together, getting to go, and having a community activist march and a platform.
When is it?
That's the details that we got to decide. But
it will be in 2019. It will definitely be this year, probably towards the end of the year.
Okay.
But this is going to be the platform for everyone to come out, speak out. Even if you've gone through something and you're over it now.
Speak out. I'm like, you know what? You heard it. Speak out.
Even if you've gone through it, maybe you can help the next person. Because until we address it correctly,
it's going to continue to perpetuate.
And we can't move forward from that.
And they need to speak out and speak their truth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
See, you got that right here. Speak out. Now I'm a Batman.
You guys heard it here first, right? That's what we're going to work on and get in the works, and we're going to make a community activist march come about, community advocates, and we're going to have objectives and say, look, like we did a few years back with organizing for the reopening of the library, or whether it be parks or whatever the case may be of the issues that's here in the local community. That's we want to see results come out, right?
Yeah.
I'm results based. Like I don't want to just get on stage and just
I don't like
pat
to hear
myself on the
myself
back.
talk. I don't, and I will pass the mic to somebody else in a heartbeat. I want to see results. I'm very action based and solution based, and that's what we need to do. We need to come together, create solutions together.
So we're on the same page.
Yeah, so solutions together. We're collaborating, and this is going to be a peaceful event, but it's going to be a platform to speak. Speak out, right?
Thanks for coming
thank
in.
y'all
You guys
for coming on.
Especially, we're going to talk about this activist group, Speak Out and Speak Your Truth.
Yeah, we'll be launching a Facebook page, and we'll share it to you guys.
We're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you so much.
Coming in.
All right.
Thank you for coming out.
All right.
And we got some other guests coming on.
Harris 2020.
Ms. Harrison.
Keep us updated as far as events come up.
Please do.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming through. Yeah, that was great.
And we got.
Yeah, I'll bring
Look,
it in.
see, we should have had her do the turnaround.
Oh,
and
man,
she could
turn
show
around.
on the back.
Oh, here we go. Look at this.
Look,
Look at
she
this.
got to show the
Hey,
back.
please show them the bedazzle.
She went all
Look
out.
at it, look at it.
She bedazzled her whole jacket.
Bedazzled the whole
Look,
jacket.
we got that on.
Oh, it's all on there.
Wait till the camera comes on. Hold up, because it rotates. Hey,
there it is.
There
in
we
the
go.
building,
There we
bedazzled
go.
it in the heart in the middle. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
She
Play
blinging
with your
out.
bad self.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Oh, you too.
Drive safe. So now we're gonna have Ms. Dion Smith and Denise Bradley come on, and we're gonna touch on. They were also at the Women's March. Their advocacy has
here we
been
go. How you doing? How you doing?
well known in the community. How you doing?
Hi.
We got Miss Smith Downs in the building, and we got Miss Denise Bradley in the building. Brad?
No.
What's the last name?
He can't do that.
Hall.
Friday.
I mean,
Man.
That's right.
This is
Sunday.
Sunday.
Friday.
Oh, Friday. Oh, okay.
How did I get that
Like
wrong?
the day
I
of the
almost had
week.
someone on my mind.
That's all right.
Yeah, okay. Not right.
Denise
Friday
Hall and Miss
Dion Smith
Dion
Downs.
Smith Downs. So welcome, ladies, to the show.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming
Thank you
on,
for having
and
us.
we're transitioning into we're leaving off with the last guest
Which is
talking about
the
the
Women's
Women's
March.
March.
You know,
Both of you ladies were also at the Women's March,
Okay.
and so what was your experience like with
The Women's
that?
March.
Because we know we brought up the fact that several people who are advocates who have been doing the work that's not glamorous, so to speak, that have been in situations where riot cops have been called in, or they've had to deal with real world situations with their loved ones being killed by law enforcement,
Right.
as both you women have. And there was controversy, or I guess consternation, that the march was not so much, the Women's March in Stockton was not so much conducive to all of the community, but only a certain segment of individuals that were organizing the event and certain groups that were invited to the table and given a platform. Do you women feel that you guys were included as equals in that platform and given the same stage to speak your truths?
No. The reason I said no, because like you said, it was a woman march, and as a woman, I am a mother.
Okay.
And I am also a wife.
Okay.
I didn't ask for this call. Number one, my son was took from me.
Right.
And I have been out here organizing and fighting for justice since 2010. And so when they were talking about a woman march, it should have been open flow plan, should have been for all mothers, from all background, all women, for all different. And no, we didn't get a chance to speak, but we did show our unity, and we still came to show our faces. And that was not the first march that we have been in. Right. I have been in the first march in Washington, D.C.
The first Women's March, right? The national one in D.C.?
Yes, in D.C. And we went out there. We spoke at 3 locations. And also, we know what a march was about, because when we went out there, it was about police brutality, gender. Yes. It was about all. And we all came on a common ground, and we all was able to share our stories together. It was not divided. And, we cannot comfort if we all continue to be divided. Martin Luther King, he wasn't talking about dividing. He was talking about unity. And so when you divide it, is you really for change? Because if we fighting for the same thing, how's dividing? Dividing shouldn't even have been an issue.
So that's what I'm asking, because the Women's March in Stockton, I mean, if you're strategically or by design not being included, right? But the values, the core values of this march were stated as
love,
unity, and solidarity, even though unity and solidarity mean the exact same thing. But that's another issue, right? So really, we're talking about love and unity, but you're saying there was not a spirit of unity there.
No, because we had, not only us was out there, when we was leaving, and people was talking about the march, and they said, well, Dion, why you didn't speak? And I said, I'm gonna let you know, a leader don't always have to speak.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I came to show my support as well.
Right.
But I seen what had came and what didn't. And so what my goal is to organize. Right. My goal is to point out and show people, because when I speak, I know I'm speaking on truth. And and I know it's politics is going on. I know it's a lot of stuff. And I know Stockton, we're a city that's been asleep too long. And anything someone say, we'll jump on board. Right. Still investigate, or if he wrong or right. At this point, how do we go forward? Because was the message about unity? Was the message about going forward? Was the message to talk about all levels, or just certain things that have been pointed out? At the end of the day, we had a lot of people have been killed here in Stockton. How many people walk around with Luther Brown, James Cook, James Rivera, Rodney Watts? Right. No one knows their names. Kobe Friday. No one know their names, right? But we know people say Oscar Grant, Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin. I always say we have them right here at home.
That's right.
We had them did a demonstration about Black Lives Matter at the DA office. They did a skit. Anyone speak on their behalf in Stockton? No one. All these organizations that we have found out that is located in Stockton, I found out on the Women March, is all in. I asked the question, where y'all located? Because we've been out here these many years, and I never heard of y'all. And so at this point, how I'm feeling at this point, I already know it's about money. Okay. A lot of these organizers, some of them hadn't lost nothing. They lost no one. But we've seen that they become a business. And
so you talk about the nonprofits
they become a business, but at the end of the day, we still have dead sons and daughters.
So even with that, right? So you said you've been at it since 2010.
Mm-hmm.
What I can say is I know me, Motec, and I've seen you there. Remember the DA put together that stakeholders meeting, and you came to it a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you and Tori has traveled around,
I have
together.
not traveled with Tori.
She makes it seem like you guys have been together.
Well, and for the viewers who you're talking about, because we got people now from Stockton that's watching this. Tori you're referring to, Tori Salazar is the district attorney.
So with that being said, I'm just saying, as I know you're really out here. I mean, we see you on Facebook. You're really out here. You're practicing what you preach. That's all I'm trying to get to, is that since 2010, the loss of your son, and I don't know imagine how you feel, because I haven't lost my child, but to bury a child at the hands of a police brutality, no one can really imagine what you're going through, but you have stepped up to the calling, and you are out in the streets.
Yes.
And so you are practicing what you preach. It's not saying you're doing it for glamour or fame.
Right.
But
it was never about glamour.
Right.
It was never about the front page, because I'd rather have my son.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that we still out here to let people know that it is hope.
Right.
And we cannot get adjusted or move to the next level if we continue to sit home and just bitch.
Right.
It's time for us to stand up and do our part.
Yeah, no.
And so the viewers know what happened to your son. Who was your son? What happened to him? So that the viewers that are watching this, they know the background.
Right.
My son's name was James Rivera Jr., 16 years old, unarmed, Stockton resident, was murdered July 22nd, 2010. At the time of his murder, execution inside of a garage, I was home asleep. I got a phone call, and my neighbor said that the officer stopped and let him go. I didn't respond to the first call, but the second call I responded, and she gave me the location, but never thought it was my son, James. As I was going down a certain area that she had located me to go, I seen a lot of polices and stuff, and then I came down the street, and people were saying, that's your son. And I don't remember today, but they said I gave a real scream out this world. And so I followed the ambulance to the number. Go back. When my son was laying on the ground, I didn't know that was my son. They was trying to wake him up, but he didn't respond. And so I still not thinking to myself, is that really my son?
Did you see him on the ground?
Yes, I did.
That's the last time you had your son?
That's the last time I seen my son. And so I jumped in the car and followed the ambulance. I passed the stop signs, the red lights. I also called the police on the police. Didn't even know it till after the fact that the police the one that did it.
So you didn't know they were the ones that shot him at the time?
Right.
You thought it was something
in the community violence.
Wow.
And so when I get to the county hospital, I'm shaking, I'm crying, I'm trying to call my mom. I'm just shaking, and they saying it's James. I wasn't even there. I was just crying, and next thing I know, they had all the dogs, the police on me. And I'm just begging and please, can I hold my son? Can y'all let me know, my son know that I'm fighting, fight. Mama's here. Right. And I never got that opportunity to even be there when my son had expired. They let me go out there. They had me waiting. I was on the ground. I don't remember, but they said I was on the ground crying or whatever. And the lady came out and she said, come back. And I never went back. I said, if my mom can't go, I can't go either. So she goes back in there, stayed in there or whatever. And she came back and told us to come. And when we went back there, I already knew something was wrong, because when I walked back there, I seen all the officers with their head down. And I knew my son was in that area, but I couldn't go in that area. And that's when I exploded, and then they put the hospital on lockdown.
And he was 16 years old on the day before his 17th birthday, right? And so
still, I've been out here, still no answer.
And this is 9 years later.
Yeah.
And it's still going through court, correct?
Yeah.
I know the county of San Joaquin, because there were actually an officer that fired from the city of Stockton Police Department, and then another sheriff deputy from San Joaquin County. So I know it was in the news that the county wants to settle, and we won't really get into those details, but I know that the city of Stockton is continuing to fight you, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then
so that court date is coming up when?
March.
Okay. And I know from my own personal research that because I remember that day when it happened. I was out there the first day, and I would definitely say is good to see that you have come as far as you have, in not only letting this tragic event affect you, but you have now come to fight for other people that you did not know previously that have similar situations happen to them, and you become a voice for them and a leader in the community and an advocate, including for Ms. Denise, who's suffered a similar situation with her son Kobe Friday.
Right.
And I know from my research with your case that originally the city of Stockton tried to have the lawsuit dismissed,
Yes.
citing I forget the exact legal term, you might know it, but they were denied by the court on the grounds that there were conflicting statements by officers who were at the scene, which is essentially the polite legal way of saying people are telling two different versions and there's only one can be true. So they proceeded to move it forward to its hearing day. And when is that coming up?
Well, that's coming up. Well, I pick my jury soon.
Okay.
But it'll be soon.
Okay.
It's coming up this year?
Yeah, this year.
9 years later, right?
9 years later.
And that is something that, I mean, have you ever, now you have your Juris Doctorate, right?
Right.
Have you ever heard of a case like this taking 9 years?
Absolutely, because in a case like this, you have so many people to interview, people protecting, like especially with the police. The unions are going to fight, so she has to deal with all the unions fighting. And then when she gets around that, then you got to interview people, and they just giving conflicting statements that they don't want to interview. And just the fact fighting itself just takes so long. It's not like it's just you file tomorrow and you're in court the next week. I mean, it takes time, right? And she has to build her case up. The city wants to build their case up because remember, she's suing the city, and the city wants to defend their officers. So it's normal to take 9 years. It's sad that it's taking so long, but that's why they settle instead of going to trial. But they couldn't get to that, and it's sad. But I wish you well with that, and I hope you get closure. I mean, I know it's hard, but
It's never going to be closer.
Right.
Because what do justice look like at the end of the day? See, that's the question that we really have to, to look. Ain't no bottom money or trying to prove you're right or wrong,
Right.
but you cannot bring back the trauma.
That's right.
The trauma going to be with me for the rest of my life. I'm going to die with that. And, like I always say, I don't care what they try to say he did or didn't do. I would rather have my son.
Right.
At the end of the day, I would like for my son to walk in that door and say, Mom, I got a girl pregnant, or Mom, son.
Graduate from high school. Or going to college,
he didn't have a chance to even
Right.
get a second chance.
Right.
And we have known and we have seen these officers have murdered over and over, and they get second chance. We have mayors that have put the cities in bankrupt, got second chances. So we've seen that people have been in high places, had second chance. What about his second chance? And the way the goal is to slander him so bad where he's erased. But no, he can't get erased. That was my son, and I loved my son. And not only I love my son, but his siblings loved him.
Right.
He had a father, he had a mother, he had a grandmother, he had nieces and nephews, he had family. So he was not just a person, he was somebody that we loved.
Right.
Now, speaking of second chances, I recall a powerful statement you made to Stockton's current mayor, Michael Tubbs, and I was there at City Hall one day when you made that statement to him that he got a DUI and he had a second chance. He ran for mayor, got elected, and I believe that was the same night where he had 50 riot cops come in and physically remove you and many others who were mostly women and young people from City Hall. What is because you're talking with trauma, how does that add to it? Does that increase the amount because now you're asking for answers from city government, you're voicing your concerns because it has been so many years, you're met with brick walls, you're not getting answers, you're being told by the court that there's conflicting statements from officers, which can be interpreted as, well, somebody's lying, and then you go to speak to somebody who's supposed to be the new black progressive mayor, and then you're met with riot cops and batons. And I know we spoke earlier that was one of the things that stood out to you from the women's march is that, well, you didn't see riot cops out there, you didn't see police escorts out there,
Yes.
but yet when you guys go to City Hall and try to
Women
ask
and
for
kids.
for answers, and it's women and children, you're met with this secondary trauma and these events. And how do you reconcile that, or what are your thoughts on that?
Every time I look at him, even when he's walking around here doing invest into his goal is to invest in in real estate and all this.
This is
Michael Tubb.
Okay.
And when we go into City Hall, it's like a smirk, like we don't matter, like we nothing, and we are somebody. And that's our job to go and tell you what's going on in our community and what's going on and what needs to be changed. That's our job. And when we go in there, he goes in there and it's just like they think we're just like a joke. They markers is always a joke about something. And I feel that's not right. I feel that even if we lost our loved ones and we still grieving, you know, they didn't offer us counseling. His James Rivera's sisters and brothers didn't get counseling, but we goes into City Hall that's supposed to be a justice, justice for all, but sometimes we wonder, is it justice for all? Because we go in there and he looked like me, and he had the same story, like he said, a father that's in prison, that 25 years, a mother from poor community that raised him. Right, so he should already know when I come in there, I'm pretty much the same symptom of his situation as well. So when I come in there, he should know I'm coming in there for some help. I'm coming there to see what happened to my son. I'm coming in there to see where do we go from here. To be marked and then laughed at and whooped with billy clubs and get thrown out like we're nothing, like we're criminals. Mm-hmm. And I feel that that's just wrong. And yes, I think about that sometimes when I go to the City Hall, I pass by, I always had to remember what he done to us. You know, a lot of Black Lives Matter group went to jail for what? A lot of them got beat for what? Because we just came there to ask for changes. We would ask, can we see the dash cam? We ask, can these officers be held accountable? Still of them being held accountable, they start whooping on us, abusing us like we the problem.
And I know you mentioned also, because this, again, it has been 9 years, so you have seen, this is now the third mayor
yes.
that you've been asking this question to.
Mm-hmm.
And what is your comparison as far as the previous mayors, how you were treated versus the current one?
This is since Michael Tubb watch, it's been the worst. You know, even when they hit my son, and I said, hold up, y'all killed his brother. You won't kill this one. So even for him to know that we already going through torture, and you sending the cops on us, you wanted things that in the breast for us to get hurt, because you didn't even look at why and understand why we was there, because you didn't pay attention to us. Because if he paid attention to us, he wouldn't have had riot gear. He would have said, you know what, I'm gonna set Denise and Dion and my and the other family was another family. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna set them back to the room and we're gonna talk about their loved ones. Right. He have not approached us that. Right. You know, this is not a stunt. These are somebody's lives. Kids' lives have been taken. We are fighting. We are parents that's fighting for our kids. We didn't have a voice, but now we starting to know we have a voice. Right. And we challenge the system. Don't you know it's hard to challenge something when it's not your comfort zone, to walk in a place that you was not familiar with? Right. I wasn't familiar with the City Hall, but once I know that's the place that I need to tell them what's going on and what changes need to be done, and that's where the voting is at, to put these people in the position, and then for you to riot gear and beat us, shame on you, sir.
So, Ms.
Shame
Denise,
on it.
I'm going to ask you, you want to talk about your son and what happened with your son as well? Or?
Yes, my son is Kobe Friday, and he was assassinated by Officer David Wells. Okay. He was walking down the street, going to the corner store, and
what street or where was he at?
Kentfield.
Okay.
Area, and they claim it was a mistaken identity.
Right.
That they were actually looking for another suspect.
Because they actually, their public announcements from Stockton PD, they actually changed their story 3 times.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, they changed their story multiple times. And then at the end, my son hadn't done anything wrong to be pursued in the first place. Wells had murder on his mind, so he chased my son corner out of corner in the store after corner until he shot him down like an animal. He assassinated my son. Yes, he did.
Now, and I don't know all the particulars to the case, but I think wasn't something with the video that the video was cut off, or I mean, as far as you know,
as far as his body camera,
the body camera was not activated till after the fact.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have issues with that. We had issues with the surveillance cameras. Okay. We had issue with the surveillance camera in the corner store.
Right.
And the community the surveillance
community center.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then we find out that Michael Tubbs is on the board of the community center.
Yeah.
So we'll go back to City Hall and ask and demand that they release the surveillance camera video.
Let me ask you this. And you touched on something important. Have they even offered you counseling? To lose a loved one by a police officer, right? Have they reached out and say, look, I know this is tragedy, but you can't make the what happened right? There's nothing they could probably do, because I know you want your son over money or over anything. You would rather hold your son and watch him grow, and so we know that. I'm just saying, have they reached out and offered you any kind of help, assistance?
No.
They haven't offered me anything but a hard way to go. That's all they've offered me. Nothing. Even when they lied and said, 2 or 3 people got shot. Oh, it wasn't your son that got shot. And then when we get to the hospital, they just ignore us like we weren't even human. That we were just a piece of the furniture at the hospital. The social service department never came down and spoke to us or anything. And then finally, my family members had been at the hospital from almost exactly after it happened, after they rushed him away, acting like they're trying to save his life, when actually they held the ambulance back. And then the officer, Wells, was pumping his blood out of his body until he bled to death.
And I recall there's pictures on social media. There was somebody who had videotaped it, uploaded it to Snapchat. So it's not like you're just saying this because it's something you heard, but there's actually pictures of this. There were eyewitnesses who were describing these events as they transpired. So
I had a question. Tell us again what year these incidents happened.
My son was assassinated by Officer David Wells, August the 16th, 2016.
And James Rivera was murdered by Gregory Dunn, Eric Azavon, and John Nesman, July 22nd, 2010.
And then I want to say that in March of 2016, the Racial and Identity Profiling Act went into effect. And my son shouldn't have been racial profiled because the act had already been in effect and was supposed to have been working for the good of the community by August, surely. But this is an officer that continues to bully the community. He chased children around, and we want to know, is he still turning on his body camera?
And there's actually other videos of him on YouTube that I've seen.
Now, is he still employed? I mean,
he is still employed. And when they did take him, gave him 3 days suspension or something, it was with pay. Yeah. And I feel that, the police should be held of a higher accountability and a higher standard. Right. And if they are involved in a police-involved shooting, they should be drug tested.
Right.
I had another question.
I think that's a great idea.
I think it's a good idea.
Exactly. That just goes without saying. Like, who's closest, most involved with drugs in any other occupation in America, and they don't have a drug test? They don't make no sense, right?
Law enforcement.
Okay. But the question I was going to ask you is, I saw in the newspaper recently, in the Stockton Record, and they were talking about y'all cases.
Right.
And it seemed like, and correct me, please. I'm sure you have the information because I know both you gentlemen are abreast on the article. But did they reach like an offer for both of these cases at the same time? Is it some kind of or was it just written that way that it just seemed like they're coming up?
No, it hasn't been, right? To my understanding, you know better than us, but from what I've seen is that Dion has been fighting since 2010.
Right.
From the city of Stockton, she still has no offer of settlement.
Right.
They're fighting her tooth and nail.
See, and the reason why I ask those questions is because you remember Misty Holt Singh?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah, they settled that right away.
That was 2014.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That was settled in, was it 17?
Right.
So that was 3 years worth of time passed. So you know.
So I asked, why has it taken 9 years?
But Governor, you touched on something, right?
Yeah.
When you see Misty Holt Singh, right, you see a Caucasian woman, right? And the police, were chasing, the bank robbers. And they had her in the car, and they shot the car, right? And they were quick to settle. They're like, well, we got to make this right. But
Actually,
now,
it still took 3 years for them to settle
no,
that.
but still, because you had to go through all litigation, it's still a process.
But
now
you would call that a quick turnaround.
But it's a quick turnaround, right?
Okay.
Now you have 2 African American males, right?
Yeah.
And different circumstances, but still, the police had a hand in their death, right? Murdered, assassinated, however we want to label it, but they had a hand in their death, right? And yet, they seem more compassionate about Missy Hosing and his family, and no disrespect to them, because they lost, and I know the husband is suffering, and I know people that know her and the kids. They don't have a mother, and so I'm not even
her parents.
Not even going. I'm just saying, if you look at it from as me as an African American male, and that could happen to me, and I don't know what happened to my mom, how she feel, but you see, as you got these African American males, they're getting killed, and it's like they're fighting you guys tooth and nail. It's like they want to discourage you. You're getting thrown out of City Hall with riot gears. It's like,
well, I think the point I really want to make on that is, let's just be real about it. Let's tell it like it is.
Let's tell it like it is.
Okay, I just want to ask you, if they had treated the Misty Holtzing family in any way similar to how they treated the families of these 2 women here,
be outcry.
Hold on, just like, can you imagine? You can't even imagine it, because there's no way on the earth that we live in.
Right.
There's no way on earth that it would happen that way. But what I'm saying is the fact that it is going on, and we know this is going on, because here we have living proof. We saw it in the record. We're like, wait a minute, really? All these years, police officers still on the beat, multiple complaints. Where the urgency of this issue is so low. Not just, I mean, I'm saying the rest of us too, because what we would be outraged too if they had treated Misty Holtzing's family like that. Well, they treated these families in this way.
Right.
And so our outrage needs to be checked as well.
Right. No, you're
because
right.
we, this, tell it like it is. We got to get more woke.
No, you
on this issue. Those names you listed are hometown names.
And you said no one know them. No one know them. You don't think about that.
We even know Stephon Clark.
Look, I agree, and I've been from myself. I've personally been there in solidarity, in unity with both women, right, and others when these incidents have happened, because I've had my own experiences with Stockton Police Department here myself. So it's not always, everything is not always what meets the eye, right?
Right, but we're talking 3 mayors now. Same,
but 3 different mayors, right?
But
and the mayor we have now has treated these women worse than the 2 previous white mayors had, right? And I was there for all 3 mayors, for all 3 incidences. I was there in the room when the riot police were called out. I was there at the scene when I saw the van being, the tow truck struggle to pull the van out from the garage wall, that the police said, well, he put it in reverse and he was rushing towards us, so we had to shoot him. I'm telling you right now with my own eyes, the tow truck struggled to remove that van lodged out of the garage that it was in.
Right.
The facts, what was being presented, were not jiving with the public statements that were being made. And in the case of Mr. Friday, you had the police department change their official story. That means we conferred, we came up, said this is what happened, put the notice out to the public, make a public statement. Okay, this is what happened. And then an hour later, he said, "Oh man, hey, I need you to change it to this."
Right.
It's not like some guy that's just new on a job had access to the Facebook account.
I mean, you said change the story. Did they update the story with details?
Different accounts.
And
completely different. So
and now that second account, that's what they sticking to now?
No, the third. Actually, they have never really given an official reason. So my understanding is the first one they said, well, he was wanted for armed robbery. We were responding to an armed robbery. Then they come out and say there was no armed robbery.
It's a mistake.
He was not a suspect in an armed robbery. We were looking for somebody wanted in a domestic violence warrant. And so that's how he was spotted, because he was a suspect.
Somebody who was armed and dangerous, declared armed and dangerous in domestic violence.
They said he was wanted for a domestic violence warrant. Right. Then they come out an hour later after that and said, well, that wasn't the case either. And then they offered no new reason. So to this day, they have yet to say why they ever approached Kobe Friday and give an explanation for that. So that's the part from the missing justice here for the community, because I'm not part of their families. You're not. No. None of us are. But why everybody should be concerned and be more woke, as you state,
that's right,
is because if this could happen to them,
it could happen to us.
Who else could it happen to?
You know that's right.
And actually, the majority of victims of killings by Stockton police in the last 10 years have actually been Mexican, right? So we have this perception that it's black males, but the Mexican community needs to wake up, because it's not just black males.
Right.
It's actually the highest number is Mexican males, right? So you have a case where, and I want to ask your thoughts on this, where the last sheriff who just lost his re-election, thankfully, Sheriff Steve Moore, evidence came out from the same coroner who dealt with your son's autopsy, the famously known for the movie Concussion, played by Will Smith,
Dr. Amalu.
Dr. Amalu, who discovered the traumatic what's the name of the
brain injury there,
the brain trauma that NFL players experience. There's an actual term for that. TBI, I believe it is.
Traumatic brain syndrome or something.
Traumatic brain injury. But he actually came out and testified and said that there was a particular case with a Mexican man who was killed by police, strangled to death by police,
wow,
in the interaction of a traffic stop. So you have a traffic stop. Next thing you know, you have somebody dead. People are looking for answers. Why did this happen? He changed the official paperwork to read the medical examiner. Dr. Amalu said this was a homicide, meaning that he died at the hands of another. The sheriff, who has zero medical background, changes that, forces him to change that designation to say accidental. Right? So when you have the highest levels, and if I'm correct, the sheriff's department is, because when there's an officer involved shooting or fatality,
sheriffs,
who are the three? There's multiple agencies. You know, they always brag on this and say, oh, well, it's not just us investigating ourselves.
Right.
There's multiple agencies involved,
right.
Right. If I'm correct, the sheriff's department is one of them.
Right.
So when you have one leg on that stool be compromised and say, well, why are you changing homicide designations to accidental? How can we trust the rest of what you're saying, and how can we now trust this so-called independent investigation? And I think there's many questions that remain unanswered, and
I wonder,
are concerned for the community.
Is there a way
at large?
Is there a way to go around it? Like the reason what I'm talking about is, so Chief Eric Jones has been on the job for a few years.
2012.
2012.
And he had 30-some people killed on his watch.
Right, but we know that when he came in on a mode of change is now time, right? Transparency and community policing, and we know that there have been some changes in the way the police operate. But but what I was going to speak to is it seems to me like he's at least receptive to dialogue.
What's your take on that?
Yeah. And with the new sheriff,
do you guys feel that he has been? Let's ask women that have been involved. Do you feel that
he's been receptive
that
to
Chief
dialogue?
Jones has been receptive to your needs and concerns?
Well, you see people still die.
Right.
You know, he's been there since 2012. How many people died since 2012? We had Rodney Watts, Kobe Friday.
What up?
We had Luther Brown. Just look at all the people.
Abilene Cordova.
And at the end of the day, what is the briefing before they went out?
So I will say, data-wise, right? If we look at the statistics, between 2013 when Chief Jones took over, because I believe he was in 2012, he was an interim,
right?
But he became actual chief in 2013,
right?
So between 2013 2016, Stockton was number 5 in the entire nation,
right,
per capita for the most killings, officer-involved shootings of their police department killing citizens in their community, right?
Okay.
That's on Chief Jones's watch. 5th worst in the nation.
Right.
Jeez.
2nd worst in the state of California. Bakersfield was the highest.
Yes.
Right. So if we look at just numbers,
Well,
we got to ask.
Well, we also got. I mean,
separate from what he says on the microphone.
Well,
Right?
now those. I'm just going to
Like Kamala Harris.
Sure,
let's look at the record.
But let's look at these numbers, right? So those are the years he took over.
Right.
Right. Those are also record-breaking years across the state.
For what?
Murders.
No, actually, homicides declined.
I mean, not statewide, but there are places like Stockton that where violence peaked in those years.
No, I would say that was after, because violence peaked in 2011 and 2012.
That's the years I was talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about 13 to 16. So that's 13, 14, that's 4-year period, right?
Okay.
That's not including 17,
18, 19.
All right.
And now we're just
But
saying
the data
19.
is still coming in for that, right? Do we have data on that?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we had one police-involved shooting that was in Western Ranch, but no involved murders in 2018 so far.
Okay.
So this is what I can say that I've noticed, right? There has been Stockton Police Department went from 5th worst in the nation, 2nd worst in the state of California. It was so bad that they got chosen one of 6 cities.
That's right.
By the Department of Justice that were put on a quote-unquote pilot program that was basically the feds coming in babysitting them,
Talking the Marshall
them a
Plan.
template to say, look, you got to apologize for slavery, and you got to do all this. Gave them all this checklist stuff, and then
Well, that was a good start, though.
you got to do all these things
What happened
because
to that part?
we don't want another Ferguson.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
We don't want what happened in Ferguson
Happen out
to
here.
come out to Stockton, and we see that Stockton is a hot spot because of
Similarities.
the numbers alone, and you have people in the community that are fighting back, that are going to City Hall, that are speaking out, that are getting on the news, that are shutting down major streets in the city, and that's why, matter of fact, the body cameras that you speak of that Mr. Wells did not turn on, that was a result of the previous activism going back to 2012.
Wow.
2010, excuse me,
Yeah,
right?
I remember
that.
that.
Didn't just happen because they felt like, hey, here's a better policy.
Right.
It was because of the activism that had been happening, the protests, the showing up to City Hall with way bigger numbers than when Michael Tubbs called in riot police. You had Mayor Ann Johnson, you had Mayor Anthony Silva had to deal with the same protests. Never once did they call in riot police.
That's right.
In fact, if I recall, Ann Johnson actually went to your home.
Yeah.
Apologized or sat down in your living room.
And she did do that, and I said we have to go to the community where it happened at and give them the apology because they live in it too as well as me.
And she went out
so
there.
she went to the community.
Did she?
Yes, she did.
Wow.
And next thing you know, they put it on the front page.
Yeah.
And she went out there and it was a big talk about.
And who attacked her?
Yeah.
The police, the Stockton Police Union attacked her.
Wow.
So that's some of the issues that have been going on. But what I'm trying to say, data-wise, statistically, is that there has been a decline, thankfully.
Okay.
But that has not happened because of Eric Jones or any type of change in progressive
You say
leadership.
it's a trend.
That has happened because of the activists and the protests and the showing out at city halls, the shutting down of major streets in the city of Stockton, waking people up, making it uncomfortable for people to say something is not right here. That's what got Stockton on the radar of the Department of Justice under the Obama administration.
One more thing, okay, Denise. One more thing, that they did not like me to carry them graphic pictures. It got to the point that they stopped us from bringing stuff into the city hall.
Really?
Because we wanted them to see this is why we out here.
Wow.
And I wanted the world to see what they had did in Stockton. My son was shot multiple times in the back, in the head, in the neck, his whole body. So I wanted y'all to see what I had to go identify at the morgue.
Right.
And this is why I took to the city hall to let them know this should have never happened. What happened to my son? They couldn't even give us an answer. They just looked at us like we was just nobody. You know, I shouldn't have to witness nothing like that. I shouldn't have to identify nothing like that, but I did. And I wanted them to know that I am going nowhere. And I'm going to stand out here and fight if we have to fight alone, to let people know that we are not accepting that. We are tired of our family coming back to us in a box with bullet holes and with no answers. And at the end of the day, we sorry. You sorry because you got caught, or you really sorry? Because I can say sorry all day long and still do damage at the end. So is they really sorry?
Right.
So I wanted to say, So I wanted to say that there are levels of force.
Okay.
Okay. They have They carry these belts. They have their batons. They have tasers, and they have alternate levels of force that they could use on their belt.
That's true.
Why every time they go straight to deadly force? I mean, how can you teach a dog new tricks? If they're killing our kids because they have been trained to shoot to kill, then what can we do about this situation? You can't retrain them.
That's right.
They're not retrainable. It's like everyone from the DA to the chief of police to the mayor to the city attorney. We need a whole overhaul on the city of Stockton political arena.
I think there's a lot of people that will agree with you, and I think
it's
that,
like a fresh start.
I think that, looking at it from being an activist involved in this for a long time, and meeting women like you, I applaud your continued speaking out and your continued voice, right? Because you both suffered traumatic events,
right.
And you didn't just kind of, because many others have also, right? But you don't hear from them because they just kind of, for various reasons, they don't find the same voice that you women have, and they don't get involved and show up to City Hall and ask for answers and force the issue. So I definitely commend your continued activism and advocacy, because I have personally seen that you have now turned and helped others, and so I definitely commend that and hope that
Thank you for that.
Justice is served for you in the ways that it best can be.
I got some. And before we even go, have you guys formed like the Black Lives Matter chapter out in Stockton? I mean, or what do you guys have? Well, people want to reach out and contact you guys to get involved with your movement. I mean, do you guys have any?
Yes, we do. We have a Black Lives Matter 2.0 Facebook website. So you can also reach us, Denise Hall or Dion Smith on Facebook. But we doing a lot of events in Stockton because we roots, we hands on, and we in our community. So we have events coming up. Denise will talk to you about the latest events. I mean the coming events that we're going to be doing into Stockton.
Yes, I just want to say that on February the 5th, we are asking anyone and everyone to come out to City Hall once again. If you have any concerns or anything that you want to talk about in your community, you are welcome to come to City Hall and voice your opinion. The other thing that I want to say is not only do we have the Black Lives Matter Stockton Chapter 2.0, we have a Mother's Voice for Change, which is up under Dion Smith. And then we have Loyalty and Family, CTF Incorporated. We do big events all through the summer, and we have an event in July the 20th, and that's going to be the potluck. Then in August, we have the backpack giveaway in honor of my son Kobe Friday because of his children, and they wanted to do this because they wanted to give back because their dad was taken from them.
And he was a father of 4, correct?
Father of 4.
So July. Now, if somebody wanted to attend these events like July, August,
we're gonna have them up on the Black Lives Matter page.
On the page, okay.
And we'll share them on Tell It Like It Is.
Tell It Like It Is.
And also, we'll be having flyers out. And the potluck is to bring all communities and leaders together to explain where we go from here.
Okay.
So that's the goal. So we're going to have, the good Lord said the same. We got mothers coming in from different places. So we're going to have a big.
Now, when's that part? July?
Yeah, it's going to be July 20th of 2019. It's going to be at the park. What is that, Victory?
Victory Park?
Victory Park.
Yes.
And we do the backpack giveaway every year at Kenfield Park, down the street from where
it happened.
Where it happened. My son had got shot by Officer David Wells. And every year it's been bigger and better. And we want to thank all our supporters, the people that donated and came out and participated and stood with us in the endeavor to make sure that the children are empowered, educated, and that they will be able to go to school with every tool that they need to make it.
So once again, you have your Black Lives Matters Facebook page.
Yes.
And so they want to donate for the potluck, they can. If they want to donate for backpacks, they can.
Yes.
And if they want to get more information, they can check your Black Lives.
And get involved.
Yes, and also next month we'll have our GoFundMe page about the potluck.
Okay.
And information so they can go. So it's going to be, we're going to put everything up so they can really reach us and stuff. But we would like for you not just only donate, but come out to see what we're about and to see the vision of where we need to go. Okay. Because it's too long and it's the urge is now.
And it's great, that we have this platform. Right. Shout out to KXVS Radio because at the end of the day, there has been previous coverage from the Stockton record that has not put any of us in such good light, and they try to explain the situations that have transpired by creating a narrative that has not necessarily been based in fact. So it's good for people to see, who you are, hear your voice, get to see and learn more about you and why you fight and why you speak out. And like I said, I commend that, and you've turned this into not just fighting for your justice, but also giving back to the community. And I think that's very important for people to recognize.
Yeah, and go to the Facebook page. Your Black Lives Matter with 2.0.
Yeah, we tagged it in the video.
Yeah, we'll tag it and like the page.
Also, I want to say thank to all the homeless people who shared their ideas and their strength with us, and also for blessing us to be able to come into them tunnels and set in the tent to really see where y'all coming from. Right. And that's where I want to be, and and that's me. I'm a part of that because I'm a one day from being in that position. But I was, thank God that I was open and willing to be able to have that conversation. And that's what it's all about. That's leadership right there. Mm-hmm. You got to come out your comfort zone to be able to really see what's really going on. Right. So I want to acknowledge them, and I want to say thank all of y'all. And I'm still out here, and I'll be ready for that the brown bag giveaway that everybody like. I do a bag. It's a brown bag giveaway.
And when is that? And
that's going to be June 6th. We always started after school.
So we got a brown bag giveaway. Yeah. We have a potluck, and we have a backpack giveaway.
Yeah, so we feed the homeless. Once again, wait a minute, we feed the homeless in Thanksgiving, and then we do a Christmas giveaway at Kenfield Park. And the 22nd.
Now, is all this on Black Lives Matter page, or is it on your Facebook page?
It's on my page and Denise's page and Black Lives Matters. But you can pretty much catch me because I'm always in the community. I'm always being a listening ear. I'm always supporting in court. I'm always supporting something. They call funerals, car washes, standing up, getting donations. So I'm here. So I'm not hard to be found.
You know what? And that's good, especially in a town like Stockton, that you have someone. And it's sad that it had to, on these circumstances where you guys are out helping the community. And so you want to say, it's good, but because, you had to lose your son for it. But at least that you didn't just let it put you down. You said, you know what? This is what happened, and I'm going to be a voice. I'm going to represent my son. I'm going to represent my son.
With dignity.
And his legacy is going to live on for his kids. His legacy is going to live on, right? We're going to do different things for my son. We're going to do different things for my son. And that's what it's about. I mean, even though things might happen, but it's what we do after that. How do we rise up, right? And you women have risen up to the challenge, and it's sad, right? People want to cry for you, but at least you guys are out there fighting and continue to fight.
Thank you so much for your advocacy.
That's right.
And I want to say one
you
more
have
thing.
saved people's lives.
That's right.
We do not want this on our worst enemy.
Right.
Yes.
I always say, and I hate to say this at closing, but today was my family. But tomorrow could be any of y'all family who's listening, and any of us here today could be me.
That's right.
So we have to really pay attention because this is serious.
Thank you again for that.
Well,
thank you for coming on.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you
for coming out on your Sunday, taking time out, and sharing your voice with Talent Like It Is.
That's right.
And the rest of our audience. And
we'll be here next time.
We got anything in closing today?
I have one more thing.
Go ahead.
And then we have in June Real Talk for Real People.
Oh, you got more events. Listen,
and that's it.
Governor Don, they got too many events. Listen, you
got
got way too many events.
Let us know about your events as they come up, and
we
you
will tag
invited to come on and promote.
We always have it in front of the City Hall, Martin Luther King. So all our events, normally when it's talked about real people or some big stuff, we'll always do it in the city hall to give people hope, and we know everybody can come from all over.
Okay.
You know, but we still gonna shut it down, y'all.
Okay.
So every week now we got our new segment where we do walking the talk.
Walking the talk.
I just want to nominate these two ladies.
We're walking the talk week. You guys are walking the talk.
Thank you for walking the talk.
I mean, just to
and thank you, listeners. Thank you. We
Just what you
appreciate
guys
it.
been through. You guys are walking the talk. You guys are practicing what you preach under bad conditions, but you guys are, because I lost an auntie, right? She was murdered, not at the hands of the police, but it hurts.
I feel you on that because I lost a brother in community
violence.
Right,
and so my dad lost his sister community violence, and it does hurt just to see, their face, and you can never get them back, right? You can never get them back. You can never hug them. I had cousins that lost their mother. They could never, the mother couldn't even go to their weddings, right? The mother couldn't even see their grandkids, and so I don't understand exactly how you guys are feeling because it's your child, but I know the grief, but just losing someone to violence, and it does hurt, and then, even time when you see, probably they're his sons and his kids, you just see him all over again.
And what people don't realize, the
Right.
midnight hours,
Right.
Tonight, when you get home, you take your shower, and you put your kids to bed because they can go to school for tomorrow, and it's always like, man, where would my son be?
What could he do?
And you live with that. I live with that every day.
Right.
Since the death of my son, I have not slept comfortable yet.
Right.
Everybody's talking about the lawsuit or whatever. That's not my worry. Right as I speak to y'all, I'm processing right now. That's why I've been humble. I ain't been doing too much marching or nothing because I'm processing now for the bigger fight. To know that they did this to me, and their goal was to kill me. And that's what I feel. That the goal was designed to kill me, to put my kids in CBS situations, to be a broken home.
Right.
Because in this tragedy, it's no good.
Right.
It's tearing families up.
Right.
But I just thank God I have able to survive to keep my families together. I done lost 5 family members within 9 years. And I was responsible to make sure everybody have a decent funeral. And it's hard. But I keep my head up, keep my tears, like I tell people, because you cry don't mean you're always sad.
That's true.
That's a good people saying. Walking around and say, oh, you got it. You don't even know what it looked like if you think I got it.
That's right.
But I am blessed to be able to breathe, to be able to say one more thing: no justice, no peace.
No justice, no peace.
There we go. So we're gonna end this segment
thank you.
this.
Thanks for coming on the show. And, we're gonna be back next week.
We'll be back next week, and then if you guys anything, let us know. We'll tag it. We'll be out to your events, promoting your events. You know what I mean? Be in the community. Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about giving back to the community, helping the community, awareness in the community. So let's do something together. Really get it going.
So we got a lot of
and you always participate in our unity in the community events as well.
Right.
So it's actually other events that we host now at Samia's and like I said, it's good to see you guys turn this tragedy into advocacy.
Right.
And
also,
the
thank
numbers.
Thank you. I didn't know what a march looked like. I didn't know what justice, no peace looked like. That day, Motec and Brother Brian and my brother. And I'm my mind was just gone. I was crying because I wanted my son because I didn't know the damage they did to my son.
Right.
And they was marching. I said, what are them folks doing? But I realized that I had to fight when I looked at his body. And when I looked at his body, that's what changed me to be better. I can't speak what I was 9 years ago, but I can tell you what I'm missing.
There we go.
Amen.
And, that's right.
And
right.
so
walking the talk.
The tragedy that I had to go to, like I always say, I don't wish that on my worst enemy. Because me looking at my son, how they gave my son back to me, y'all, in a bag. My son's body was ripped up like thread. Like you eating that meat like you put on your tacos. And we had to sew him to get him ready for a funeral. And I had to set a couple of days at the funeral home, decide, is I'm going to have an open casket or a closed casket. That was the hardest decision that I had to make in my life. But I made that decision. And then turn around that I had to go to a church that looked like me, that denied me a proper burial. But God was good. A guy gave me a church over there on Kelly Drive that I can have a decent burial for my son. And so I know that no matter what the outstick and what they did to me and how they did to me, they try to break me down in all ways. But I rise.
That's right.
I will continue to rise.
That's right.
And I'm still riding.
That's right.
And like I said, you cannot break my spirit. Only one gonna break me is me. I came too far to go back now.
This is she preaching. Hold on. You ever thought we got a Bible here?
We're going to end it on that
note.
note. We're going to end it on that note.
So it's bittersweet. I was trying to hold my tears in because I done passed all that. Now it's a big fight.
There we go.
Well, we're with you in this fight, and if you have something that you need to share with the community, please feel welcome to let us know about it. We'll share it here at the Voice of San Joaquin, the Voice of Stockton.
Thank y'all so
God
much.
bless.
Everybody.
Yes. And of course, now we got the show tagged on the video too. So if you got questions for next week, something you want us to talk about, drop us a message. Yeah, we'll get back.
And if you guys have from the community have topic discussions, feel free to reach out to us, inbox us, and we're gonna sit here and tell it like it is.
There we go. See you next week.
See you next week.